And we've been hearing today, employees at the car battery maker British Volt have been asked to attend an all-staff meeting this lunchtime as the business near Blyth scrambles to avoid collapse. There are hopes that a last-minute bid for British Volt may help it prevent falling into administration. It's sort of lots of people talking about this across the northeast. I'm pleased to say Jamie Driscoll, the North of Tyne Mayor, joins me this morning on the phone. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Matt.
So how concerned are you about this project failing, Jamie?
Well, British Volt's financial situation is obviously it's a matter of record and what's being announced. It's Friday last since I spoke to them. So in a fast-moving situation, I will leave it for them to comment on where they are. But in terms of the site, this is the best site in Britain for a gigafactory. It's got all the power lines from the old Blyth power station. It's got a deep water port. There's going to be mine water heating, taking away the excess heat, distributing it around Blyth. So I think regardless of what name ends up above the door, it's still the best site in the country for a gigafactory. And so, it's about repurposing our fossil fuel heritage into the green jobs of the future. The company's finances, I think it's best that they comment on it and not me.
Okay. You say it's the best site in the country. Why have there been problems with this development then?
Well, I think there's a number of issues on that. I mean, some of it is that if you look at, it's often compared in the press with Northvolt, the Swedish startup that's a gigafactory. And from the Swedish government put in 500 million euros, £500 million investment into it to help them accelerate that process. The British government, although they did offer them £100 million, it was only once the factory was up and running. By which point, of course, you don't need early investment. So along with local MPs, Ian Lavery was involved in the Northumberland County Council, my colleagues there. I was involved trying to persuade the government to bring forward some of that money to help them lever in a lot more private investment and get going. But government decided that wasn't their preferred option, which is a little bit disappointing. I'm normally very good at getting a lot of money out of central government, if you witness our new North East devolution deal, but sadly not to be on that case. But there's lots of jobs in that area. I was just up in Blyth yesterday. I was showing the Financial Times around. And just over the other side of the river from the factory site is the Bates Clean Energy Terminal. The Sophia Wind Farm is going to be built there. That's 171 jobs in the first instance. Just near the British Volt factory is the JDR Cables factory that's getting built. The Energy Central Learning Hub that we've invested in is going up to build the skills base. We're reopening the Northumberland line. So there is a lot of good news going on in Blyth. British Volts, whatever happens to them, I would like to see, I'm fairly confident that there will be heavy industry on that site again.
Okay, you mentioned now, obviously, you try to persuade the government to bring that offer of money forward. As I said, the 100 million was offered for after the plant was created. You tried to persuade them to bring that money forward, or at least part of that financial offering forward. What was their reasoning for not giving it then?
Well, they tend not to give a reason in this situation. They tend to say, look, we had an original deal, we're going to stick to the original deal, and governments tend not to analyse or publish the reasoning for their thinking. What was on offer at that point was, and I think this is out in the public, so I'm not breaking commercial confidentiality, is British Volt had investors lined up who would, if the government put in the 30 million, they would put in another 100 and odd million to get it to a certain stage of development. And then they were prepared to underwrite the government's advance at that point, the investors, but government declined. So like I said, that was a combined, it's cross-party, my Conservative colleagues in Northumberland, obviously me as a Labour Mayor, Ian Lavery is the local MP, Labour MP. We were all trying to persuade government on this, but that's levelling up for you.
Okay. I mean, this factory has been talked about, with huge importance to the area, providing, 3,000 jobs on the site, and also kind of the knock-on of suppliers and other people working with it. Huge importance to the area, Jamie. How much of a blow would it be if this does not go ahead?
Well, we've never included it in our job creation figures until such times as it's actually happened. We're very cautious about that sort of thing. People remember the Siemens factory from a few years back where, a similar thing happened. And that actually got as far as being built before it was closed down, wasn't it? we have, people might not realise that we're the number one area in Britain for inward investment and job creation last year. I spend a lot of my time, like I was showing the Financial Times around Blyth yesterday, spend a lot of time talking to businesses to bring them here. Brought 11 big tech companies. We've created about 4,600 jobs over the past few years. Yeah. People do need good, well-paid jobs, but we'll still be on with that regardless of what happens with British Volt. So not every project succeeds, but we don't give up.
Okay. Jamie, thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Matt.
Jamie Driscoll, the North of Tyne Mayor, they're talking about hopes that a last-minute bid for British Volt